There we go. So the thing to understand is that this curriculum is a strategic curriculum. That's what master's level is. Master's level is about strategy. And what we're doing then is we're taking the tools that are available and we're saying, how do we get the most out of them? And so in this curriculum, we're looking at influencers. And in particular, we're saying, what do we need to do? Who are they? And how do we engage them so that they will be a benefit to us? Now, this is in digital marketing, there's a number of approaches. Give me a sec. Let me see if this will work. It didn't work last night, but I got a feeling it's going to work today. Ding, 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 ding. What do I want? I want nothing that's there. Really? Okay. So, QuickTime. And new movie. Oh, I got a new movie. Okay. And now comes the $64,000 question. All right, so let me do this. See, you're going to think you're right in the classroom. You're going to forget that this is online.
I'm used to doing online classes. I did my bachelor's online.
Well, this is going to make your bachelor's like, you're going to go, this is nothing. This is nothing.
I definitely agree with you on that one, because this is actually way easier and better and faster than my bachelor's program.
Okay, except my dang computer just froze.
Oh, no.
It's Zoom. Zoom keeps sending out updates, and come on. All right, everybody. I promise this is going to be great. I'm going to have to exit. I don't think it's going to kick you out. It may. If it does, come on back in, okay?
Okay.
But it's not. Let me try one more thing here. Okay, hold on. Maybe, just maybe. No, even my force quit, it's not letting me. I can bring the menu up, but it won't let me force quit. All right, I'm going to have to force quit the machine. If you get kicked out, come back in. It'll take me about 2 minutes to boot back up again.
Okay. Can you be quiet, babe? Thank you. My mic is unmuted, so thank you. Uh-huh.
Glad to see my wife. Money's going to a great education.
They can hear you.
It's nice to actually get to talk to you ladies. I know we've like always comment on each other's stuff, but it's nice to actually like see everybody in the Zoom.
Yeah, same here. I've never used Zoom before. I was always used to what was it we were using in the other classes?
We go to meeting.
Yeah, I'm always used to those.
Yeah,
I use them a lot.
not a big fan of Zoom after I've used other platforms. Like we use Teams for work, and Teams is nice. It's a lot better platform.
When did we transition from GoToTraining to Zoom? Because this is new to me.
I think it's just it's just what he likes to use, I guess.
Oh, okay.
No, I think they switched over because my last class used Zoom.
Oh, really?
And I think that was the first last month that they were like starting to transition from what the professor was telling me.
Maybe they have like a contract or something, because that happened with my work. We were using Blue Jeans, which is almost identical to Zoom. And then they switched over to Microsoft Teams.
Oh.
Blue Jeans. So maybe that's why.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, he's back.
I am back, and I can tell that it did not kick you out, which is good. So let me try this again. And all right, and now we're going to share. And we are recording. Good. Okay, so I see everybody there. Let me bring my, you should be seeing my, my iPad with my screen on there.
Yes, I see you editing a slide right now.
So we're just going to call this IMK Week 3 Notes. And I can't do anything in just white. It drives me crazy. So that's the reason for that. And let's get another slide up here. So let's go back and let's talk for a few moments about some things with regard to new media. And because I had to start the recording again, let me just quickly, because we're in a graduate level course, we're talking about strategy. And in particular, the strategy we're using for new media marketing is influencers. But we need to understand how all the tools come together in order to make that happen. Woo! How was that for a recap?
That was great.
Perfect.
So, come on. Now, why? There we go. Okay. So what I want to go over very quickly, and perhaps this has been covered in your other classes, and if so, this will go very, very quick. What are the 3 media channels that we deal with as digital marketers? Can you name them?
You have like paid media, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Is the other one shared media?
Not really.
I should know this. I'm racking my brain right now.
I just read it too.
I know.
For last week, I just read it and I can't even remember. I'm having a brain fart right now.
So the second one is earned.
Earned media.
And the last one is owned.
Okay, pay, earn, own. I will put that in my notes as we speak, if I can do that while we're up here.
Now, the thing to understand, own kind of has a modern technology, because when we, as digital marketers, when we talk about own, we're really thinking about things such as our our website, our blog, our social media channels. All those fall under own, with the understanding, and why this is a unique media is because, for the most part, we control what we put on them. Now, obviously, in social media, there's community guidelines and whatnot. And, if you're like me, your posts are constantly being taken down. And so you're totally useless on social media. But don't be like your professor. Play by the community rules to get your message out. Actually, I'm not that bad. At any rate, earned media is interesting, because earned media sometimes will go act kind of like owned media, because earned media is where we're relying on other people to tell our story. So typically, before the days of the internet, earned media involved public relations, in terms of you had public relations spokespeople. For this, today you see it in government all the time. And sometimes when major corporations have a major announcement, their public relations spokesperson will walk up to a podium in a meeting room and give the news of the day. What's interesting is that type of public relations used to be only one way. It used to be with the person speaking, giving information, and question and answers didn't really happen. If they did happen, then what you would see is they would ask a question and the person speaking was just giving more information. In other words, there wasn't a symbiotic relationship between the audience and the person speaking. Now, let me give you a modern day, and I only throw this out there for an example purpose. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. And unfortunately, it's politics, but that's where so much attention is. That with the COVID-19, the task force press conferences, you would have President Trump giving information, and then you'd have the media asking questions. Now, the example I want to key in on is the use of for COVID-19, the use of masks. Now, today, there's many locales. Cassie, where you're at, do you have to wear a mask if you go outside?
They're telling us it's required, but at the same time, there's people who decide not to wear them. And in my opinion, I don't see the problem with it, because, you can't force someone to wear something that they don't want to wear,
Yeah, I get you. And I'll make this a little bit more interesting in just a moment, if this isn't interesting enough. So you thought this was just going to be a dumb, boring new media marketing course. Raquel, in Nashville, are they requiring masks if you go outside?
So it's not required. It is optional, but a lot of businesses have turned to having it where they put on the door, like, you must enter with the mask on.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. Melissa, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same. People businesses are starting to put out, like, please wear a mask, or mask required before coming in. However, they're not really holding anyone accountable to it. It just depends on the place that you go into.
Yeah, Costco, which is a membership organization, when they went back to their normal hours, they were telling people for a couple days before they switched back to normal operation that you were going to have to wear a mask in order to come in. And because you got to show your ID card and give the secret handshake and know the password for for them, it's pretty easy to keep you out if you don't have a mask. Well, here's the interesting thing. Realize for weeks, the medical establishment, the doctors on the task force and broader were saying that masks do nothing. That the amount of benefit is actually offset by the amount of negative because you're breathing back in CO2. And the fact of the matter is that even the N95 mask, which is the medical grade mask that everybody says is the standard, which, by the way, most locales, when they were passing these mask orders, they were saying, don't use N95, save those for the first responders and medical community, right? So you're now using something that's a much lower grade, but even the N95 is designed for bacteria, not virus. And the size difference between a bacterium and a virus cell, it's like 10 times bigger, if not even larger. I'm thinking 10. It might have been thinking a multiple 10, like 100, but the difference is huge either way. So, but think about it. You had the recipients of the press conference pushing back constantly. Why are we wearing masks? Why aren't we wearing masks? And in today's environment, very seldom do you have just one-way communication. It's oftentimes two-way communication, so that where the deliverer of the information is listening, responding, and acting. And what came out of all that was, well, if you want to wear masks, fine, wear masks. and then, you know, we're leaving it up to the states and the various governors, which is what happens in a federal system. Those kind of decisions are pushed down to the individual states to make those decisions. In some states, and I was just reading through the Florida requirements, Florida actually has a requirement that if you're inside a business and you're unable to maintain social distancing, so if you got to be within 6 feet, in phase 1 of opening the country back up, yes, you do have to wear a mask. But, and I'm scratching my head because I'm trying to figure out how that works in the restaurant. But that's probably a decision and information that's way above my pay grade. So I'm not going to consider restaurants anymore in terms of trying to figure out how that works.
If I may interrupt, I did hear that in restaurants, some of them ask that you wear your mask wear your mask to place your order. Your waitress or waiter will have a mask. You remove it while you're eating, but as soon as you finish eating, you are to put it back on. And I was like, what? This is crazy. But
well, and you know what, again, when you look at what the doctors have been saying, and then you get into all the
exactly, because
all the different reports. You know, I saw a news report the other day that said, no, we really need to be thinking about getting COVID-19 by it coming into our eyes.
I heard that. I think that is one of the most craziest, I'm not going to say idiotic, but it's one of the most craziest things I've heard ever. And now, I don't know if you guys heard, but now they're saying children are getting it. And that's just another scare tactic that they're using to make this go longer than what it needs to be.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I'm right in the target range where, you know, I'm over 60. So, but I take all this with a very healthy grain of salt. And did any of you get a chance to listen to the John Taffer interview?
I haven't.
Please
is
do.
Is that the new one from this week?
No, I think I posted it. It's in the messages. And I'll post it again this week just to make it fresh so that it's there.
Is that the man? I'm bad with names, but is that the man who, like, when you were at the bar or something?
Yes. John Taffer is the creator and star of the TV show Bar Rescue.
Yeah, I watched that interview.
And John was saying he believes that the country will open up, that consumers will open up in 3 different waves. The first wave being early adapters rushing right out to as soon as a business is open, they're going to go get a haircut, get a beard trim.
That'd be me. I'd be the first one in the hair and nail salons.
and then he says there's another third that's going to wait and see if the first third dies. And if they don't die, then they'll go out in the second wave. And then the third wave are those that are going to wait for highly effective therapeutics or vaccines to come out. So
I wouldn't trust the vaccine, but
you know, it's interesting, and I'm just putting all this out there because talking about the way that public relations, which is the earned media channel, how it's a two-way street, and when you go back and look at those press conferences where we went from no, the masks are not needed, in fact could be harmful, to the position change to, okay, we're going to let the governors make a decision. And that's the symbiotic type of public relations that we have today. So the earned media channel is public relations where we're relying on other people to carry our message. In the press conference, it's the members of the press. But it can be other people as well. Now, are all 3 of you in the degree program?
I'm in the degree program.
no, I'm in the certification program because I have a degree from full, so my master's.
What's your master's, Raquel?
New media journalism.
This is like, did I teach you in new media journalism?
I don't know. I can't remember. I did it I graduated in 2014.
I might have taught your public relations and reputation management class.
You might see me again because I am considering going for the new media journalism master's program after I finish this one.
You have a new media master or a new media undergrad?
Me? No, this is my first new media.
That was I'm sorry. I can't turn your cameras on so I can see your mouth move.
Right.
I'm terrible.
My hair's a mess.
Well, look at mine.
No.
I've decided I don't have to go to the barber anymore. I can just do it myself. And you know what my wife said? My wife said, you may want to reconsider that. Okay. We may not cover much, but it's certainly interesting what we cover. So then we have the paid media channel, and paid media is where we're paying money to have our words reproduced exactly the way we want them reproduced. So, for example, if I go out and hire a celebrity spokesperson and I give them a written ad and I say, I'm paying you this money and I want you to say this, that's paid media. So let's do this. I'm going to add another. No, I can't do that. Because you're just looking at an image. I got to actually come over here and do it over there. Don't worry, it's the wonders of this is the wonders of technology here. Okay, so let's talk about media channels. And under media channels, we have, actually, I said that wrong. Hold on a sec. Let's talk about channel strategies. So we have AdWords. And AdWords is paid search. So when you go, I need to give you another term. ZMOD is the zero moment of truth. It's the point when a potential customer, they get it in their head that they need to go do some sort of research, and they go to the internet and they search for information on your product, service, or brand. And Google, this is a Google term, Google calls this a ZMOT, zero moment of truth. So when we get to the zero moment of truth and somebody goes to search, they type in some form of keyword, either a short keyword or a long tail keyword, and results come back, search engine results, which is what we call, when you're looking at Google, that's the SERP, right? You know what SERP stands for? SERP?
No, I don't.
It's search engine result page.
Oh, yeah.
So on the search engine result page, you'll have at the, here, are you seeing my my browser?
I can see it.
Okay. Well, that's not where I wanted to go. There we go. Okay, so Google, let's put in, just for fun, so when we're looking at the search results, what we're looking at here is, see where it says ad, 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 ad. That's paid search. Somebody has gone in and they've paid Google so that when certain keywords pop up in the search bar, their ads are going to pop. Now, how they pop, I believe you'll get to that in a later class, and it's rather hefty and rather detailed, so I'm not going to go into that right at the moment. Then what we have is the organic search.
I still see this Stockholm demos page.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
There it goes. I see it now.
Okay. That was weird. Sorry. So here's where, so you're going like, what the heck is he talking about? The little ad thing. So all these #1 influencer marketing agency, and then the little word there, ad. The next one, ad. Those are all paid search results where somebody has used an AdWords account to deliver results. Then we have organic results. And organic results are down here. And they are identified by not having a an ad identifier by them. Now, sometimes you'll get snippets. And a snippet is where your organic search, your keywords and all that you've used to set up in the AdWords search is so perfect that Google says, we're going to highlight your page up here at the top, and they'll actually do a highlight of the content that you have on your page that they think matches the search term the best. At any rate, this type of strategy, this is search engine marketing, SEM, and this is a form, actually there's a form of paid and non-paid, which I'm not going to deal with right at the moment, which is the organic. But paid search is important. So that's one strategy. Another strategy that we can look at is display ads. So display ads are, again, in the course of normal content, an advertiser is paying a distributor, a publisher, money to take an ad that they've created. So just think of like an ad on TV, an ad in a newspaper or a magazine, or even a billboard, and then dropping it on your web page. So, for example, let's go to a newspaper, right? If we look at the Wall Street Journal, and my internet is supposed to be 400 speed, but I don't think it's running at 400 because look at that. I've got a blank page. That page should be full.
Do you have Verizon?
No, I have Spectrum.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Spectrum is like, oh.
I know, it's horrible.
I think Verizon is better.
I think they're laying fiber optic lines out out on the main road behind my house. So I'm hopeful that that's going to be an improvement. What I'm waiting for are the ads to pop in. So this header is actually an ad, and there should be ads that pop in over here on the far left. And I don't, well, I know my page isn't loading right, so that's frustrating. But at any rate, we know we've got, now we don't even have that one. Why are the technology gods doing this to me? They're toying with me. At any rate, ads are displayed much like we would see on TV and newspaper, on a billboard. And I'm going to get off this page before I kill it. So let's go back to my whiteboard. And we want to add in two other categories. So we can have social media ads. And we can also do email. That's the paid search. I'm sorry, that's the paid media environment. So we take one of these channels. And I'm clicking over there and it's not doing anything. We take one of these channels and then we look at what the strategy is that we want to pursue. Under earned media, we can pursue public relations, or we can pursue an influencer / brand ambassador strategy, which is how we get to this class under earned media. Now, out of those two, the bigger umbrella is actually public relations, because as part of a public relations, the message that's created is considered creative content. If you come to my public relations class in month 9, you'll understand that better. But then we take that information and we decide, how are we going to get that message out? And then that message, we can look at the traditional public relations way. We can also then look at using what we develop in this class, influencers and or brand ambassadors. Now, the difference between the two, the brand ambassador is somebody that is a fan. Man, they just love our brand. Let me ask you this question. Are any of you fans of Apple products?
I can say that I am some sort of a fan. I used to be an Apple sheep. I used to be, one of these sheep, but I could say I'm half and half with Apple.
I've had an Apple since 1984.
Wow.
And I've been with Apple through thick and thin. I was very, very lost when Steve Jobs lost the company. It was stolen from him by John Scully, who had been the CEO of Pepsi. And I rejoiced when Steve came back with the advent of OS 10 and at the time, the machine that he introduced was the Jelly Bean Mac.
Oh, with all the colors on them.
Yeah,
I remember those when I was in junior high school. They were in every one of my computer classes.
That's how my school was too.
Now, don't tell me that it came out. I can remember when it came out. I had a couple kids then. At any rate, a lot of people Apple was one of the first brands to really develop very strong loyalty and fans that would defend it in terms of criticism from the press, from other brands, from other just possible purchasers. Apple developed that kind of loyalty. I'll give you another example of another company that does the same. Disney. You have, when I worked for Disney, we used to call them Disney fanatics. I knew them well because I used to be one when I went to work for the company. Disney, I'll tell you how crazy Disney fanatics are. I had one guest. Now, when I first went to Disney, I ran the World of Disney, which is the big department store at what used to be downtown Disney. It's now called Disney Springs. And at the time when we opened, it was the largest character store in the world. I think it still is, quite honestly. We in 1996, shortly after the Atlanta Olympics, the Atlanta Olympics were remarkable because something developed there that had not happened previous, and that was the pin trading phenomena. And we noticed that at Disney, and we immediately went into high gear creating Poison A type pins that could be traded. And I had this one guess. Now, we did pin releases, new pins, and some of them were limited edition, $4.99 pins. Imagine that. That's how much these sold for. Every once in a while, a really special one would come out, and it would be like $10.99 or $12.99, but never higher than $12.99. And that was for a really big, special type of pin. I had this gentleman that would drive from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania on Thursday nights every other week to come and be standing outside the World of Disney in order to be one of the first 10, 20 people in line to make sure that he got the pin.
Wow, that's a really, really dedicated fan.
Yes. Those are the type of fans that a business, a brand wants, because they're passionate. They want to tell people about the brand and the product. They want people to know what's happening. And as marketers, we can identify those people, cultivate them to make them good influencers on social media. So I want to differentiate a brand ambassador. We want to cultivate and make them and help them be, influencers, versus an influencer identifying an influencer. An influencer is somebody that already has a reputation, a presence in the digital realm. And Cass and Raquel, I think you'll echo this. I'm so glad you're in this class. That really who we're looking for are new media journalists. We would like to find new media journalists whose interest or passions somewhat line up with our product and brand. And we can find some sort of synergy by working with them. Raquel, does that make sense from your degree?
No, yeah, absolutely. I actually was responding, but I was on mute. But yeah, I definitely do agree. Yeah, because when I took new media journalism, I was like, oh, this is different. This is almost overwhelming for me. But it was definitely a lot of, how do I want to say that? Hands-on, like you become that person.
Yeah. Raquel, by the way, if you want to read a great book that talks about the evolution of journalism and into new media, the gentleman's name is Michael Connolly. Their fiction. Oh, look at that!
It's purple. Okay.
Disco, Dr. John. The book to read. Now there's I believe 3 total in this little mini series, but it's called The Poet by Michael Connolly. Michael Connolly is his main book series is called Bosch, and that's also a TV series on Amazon Prime that mirrors a lot of the books that he's written. It's very good. But the book is this book takes a look at a reporter that falls into a mystery, but the evolution of newspaper reporting is a sub-story to the main story, and I found it very fascinating to read. So just an FYI. See, you get all sorts of odd tidbits in these sessions, and I'm running out of time. So the point I wanted to make here is that we use the earned media channel in order to give our stories to other people, to carry them and retell them. So our job is to influence other influencers. Now, the interesting thing is with paid media, boy, you know, that happens. That happened. We can see results very quickly. What we're doing takes time. Now, you know, we're not talking decades, we're not talking years, but it can take several months. And I've had a number of past students who, and I'm trying to think, at one point in time, I think there was 4 months difference between this class and public relations. I think we're a little tighter right now. And they would tell me by the time they came to public relations, hey, we implemented our new media strategy, new media marketing strategy, and we're seeing it work. So not years, but not days or weeks. We're talking months to get things going. And then owned are the messages that we can put out. Now, oftentimes we'll take the same message that we're having other people and we'll repurpose it and put it in our own media channels and format it uniquely for whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or a YouTube message. So there's lots of things that happen in own media. All right. So now let's go back. You've had week 1 where you created your personas and then you developed your goals. Let me say a quick word about goals. On your homework that I gave back to you, I gave you a lot of information with regard to goals. We talk macro and micro, and what we're really talking about is the top tier goal and then the supporting goal. Now, another way to think about this is that, and actually goals and strategy are one and the same, by the way. So we start with an objective, and an objective is just a lofty idea. I want to increase sales. I want to increase sales this year. Now, if I put a number to it, I want to increase sales by 5% this week or this year. That objective has now become a goal. If I take, I want to increase sales by 20% and make it SMART, then I have to make sure that it's relevant to the organizational goal if it's a top tier goal, or if it's a lower goal in my realm of influence, that it matches back to my department goal. That's the relevant or the R part. It's got to be measurable. Well, sales are measurable. And then I've got to put the timetable on, and I've done that by saying over the next year. Now, I could be more specific and say, you know, I want to see a 5% increase in sales month to month over the course of the next year. Now I'm getting even more smart because it's even more specific. But that's a SMART goal. When I get down into the department level, so I'm in my department is earned media, and I say my objective, I want to launch an influencer strategy. Okay, that's just an objective. Now I've got to take that and put a number to it, and so to start to make it SMART. So by putting a number to it, maybe I say I want to launch an influencer strategy with 3 influencers this year. And then as long as it aligns back to a top tier goal, then I'm okay. Now in marketing, there's really only a couple of top tier goals. I can either lift the brand, so brand awareness. I can increase conversions, which ultimately is sales, but I can look at other conversions at lower levels. So a conversion goal. Or I can look at how I can maximize the long-term value of my customers, LTV. Those are the top tier goals that you typically see in marketing departments. So, you know, let me come back and make this a little bit more tangible. So I want to have 3 influencers that I'm using this year. The next thing I got to do is say, well, how am I going to do that? How am I going to get 3 influencers? And the answer to that question, whether it's 1 answer, 2 answers, or 3 answers, are strategies or objectives. And then if I put a number to those, then I turn those into sub goals and make those, I can then measure and perform against them. And ultimately, we keep doing that down until we get to very specific metrics. And then we look at all the metrics that we've got and we say, which ones truly tell us whether we're performing or not? And they become our KPIs. So all KPIs are metrics, but not all metrics are KPIs. And then the last piece with regard to that, it went out of my mind. I can't remember. I'll come back if I hit it. Okay, so week 1, you did all that. Week 2, which you just finished, is actually a pretty easy week on the surface. You've got to go out and take the template that you did in week 1 and use that template to then go find candidates in week 2. Real people. So I've given you license to be a stalker. To go find real people. And then you want to match up the real people that you're finding for the different segments within your business. Now, what do I mean by segments? Well, do you have customers that only exist on Instagram? Or do you have customers that only exist on Facebook? You know, as marketers, we tend to be ubiquitous. We tend to be everywhere, right? I'm going to look at Instagram. I'm going to look at Facebook. You know, I always try to be one step ahead of my kids. They say, hey, Dad, I'm on Snapchat. And I'll just go, yeah, let me connect with you. I don't use Snapchat that much. I hate it.
Are you on TikTok, John?
What's that?
Are you on TikTok?
I won't use TikTok, and I'll tell you why. Because TikTok is actually, it's owned by the Chinese government. It has a huge back-end door to it where the Chinese Communist Party is sucking every piece of data they can about every single user. A great book, if you're interested in understanding China, is a book by Dr. Michael Pillsbury. He's an academic, but it reads very easy. And it's called The 100-Year Marathon. And you get done reading that and you're going to go, oh my God, what have we been doing with China? And it was written before this pandemic. So, but I won't use TikTok.
Well, unfortunately for us, all of our Apple products are made in China, so I don't know how that's going to go once all this is over.
No, well, actually, and you know, I'll give Apple a little bit of kudos, because, well, actually, let me tell you, even your Androids and Samsung and all, it says Korea, but the work is actually subbed out to China, and the reason being, China is all slave labor. They're all, whether or not they're actually prisoners or some form of a prisoner, the workers in those plants are being paid ridiculous salaries, and they have no choice. It's the communist government, and that's why the entire world moved all their supply chains to China for production, because chasing the lowest possible price from if you look at anything that's made, the largest cost of the manufacturing is in labor cost. And if you can reduce your labor cost, boy, it's huge. I mean, think about it. N95 masks, PPE, which cost pennies to make, right? It's all been farmed out to China, and then think of the transportation costs and the shipping costs to bring it back to the United States, because the normal way of transfer is container cargo on big cargo ships, and even with the cost of shipping, it's still way less to be made over in China than in the United States. I first ran into this when I was in the jewelry industry, and you can't sell a $4,000 diamond solitaire ring, let alone a $20,000 diamond solitaire ring, and deliver it to your customer in a little tiny zip bag. Jewelry boxes are an integral part of the product, even though the gemstone and the gold is coming from other places. We were constantly, and this goes back to the 80s and 90s, because one of the first industries to go to China were jewelry boxes. And if I didn't make my order right, if I didn't estimate my sales correctly, and I didn't overbuy on boxes, because boxes there's a lot of waste sometimes. I could find myself on Christmas Eve, or one of my stores, one of my employees, selling a diamond ring and scrambling to find something to put it in. Even back then, we were locked into a Chinese supply chain. But Apple has made some indications that they're looking at Ireland, and in Wisconsin, Foxconn, a manufacturer for Apple, has actually started building a huge plant in Wisconsin. So Apple is looking, and I don't trust Apple. I'm like you, Cassie. I was a big fan, but I'm much more skeptical today. But I think, and it started before COVID-19, there's been a lot of scrutiny on the supply chain and bringing it back into the United States, which is good for the United States and good for jobs. The reason that so much emphasis was put on McDonald's wages is because we have no industry. Where fast food jobs used to be starter jobs for my first job in high school was in fast food. Those jobs today, those are careers for people, because we have no industry. It's all been moved to China. So yeah, I'm right there with you. But I think there's some good news, just a tiny little bit of good news with Apple, that they may be bringing back manufacturing out of China. I'm sure they'll look for another low labor cost place, but there you go. Okay, let me, I've been babbling, and I want to bring up our assignment for week 3.
I had a quick question for you as well. I have another call for work that I have to jump on here in a few minutes, but for the discussion post, I have questions about that.
Okay, so I'm bringing up the discussion post right now.
Sweet, thanks.
So, some information for you to look at, of course, and explain which sites and social networks your target audience frequents. So this is where you've got to do some research to figure out your target audience for your product. Where are they congregating? The adage that I grew up with in marketing, and it's still true in digital, is you want to fish where the fish are. If you're fishing where there's no fish, so if your audience is on Instagram, you better be on Instagram. You better be messaging on Instagram. So first, explain which sites and social networks your target audience frequents based on research you've conducted. If you didn't do a good job with research in earlier weeks, make sure you do it this week. Next, explain what their mobile use is like based on actual customer data. Again, you need to look and see what you can ascertain from posts and so forth, and understand, well, if they're on Instagram, what are they on? Are they on desktop or mobile?
How do you find that information out?
Well, Instagram is, I threw Instagram out because it's, I don't know anybody that uses Instagram on the desktop. It's
yeah.
It's a horrible, horrible apparatus. So Instagram is easy. If they're on Instagram, they're mobile. But you have to look at what the quality of what they're saying, the qualitative components, and get some idea as to where they are. Now, the other way, you can do secondary research. You may have some, there may be some marketing firms out there and whatnot that have done some research and have said, now, if your brand is kind of small, and Melissa, I think yours is a pretty niche brand, right? Kona, what is it? Kona
Yeah.
water ice?
Kona leash.
I was close.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
So chances are nobody has really done any research on Kona leashes. But what about pet owners? And look at what research has been done on pet owners, and maybe you can find that the pet owners tend to spend more time on mobile than they're doing on. So you can do some research and figure that out, either through, again, looking at actual action research from what your target market is saying on various social media channels, or go into the Full Sail library and do some research in there and see what else you can dig up. And if your niche market, if your niche brand is too small, widen it. Go to the larger groupings, and realize that those attributes are going to probably flow down to your niche. Next, explain how you could use these insights to improve your efforts for influence outreach. Explain how you could use these insights to improve your efforts for influencer outreach, brand ambassador relations, and general marketing communications. So you want to do, again, 3 posts. And if you're really into this, 3 posts are easy. And let me share my strategy on posting that I've used through probably at least 10 years of being a student, if not more. That's probably closer to 15. I do good research on my initial post, and then I look at what somebody else posted, and I say, I agree with that, or I say I don't agree with it. Then I look at their reference, and I go to their reference and I read the material that they used to come up with their opinion. And if I come to the same conclusion and I like it, great. I'll put my own spin back on it and maybe pull another point that they may not have particularly looked at. I really get a buzz when I read somebody else's post and I look at their research, and I'll be, how the heck did they come up with that by reading that? And then I have to tactfully figure out how to bring those points out. And that's a lot of fun to me. So discussion posts, sometimes I'll go 3, 4, 5 posts. Actually, when I was doing my doctorate, we had 5 discussion questions or prompts each week, and we had to have 3 responses to each one of those prompts. So you're looking at 5 and then 4. I was doing, during my doctoral studies, 20 posts, and let me tell you, they were a doctoral post. The initial post needs to be somewhere close to 900 words, which is a small paper. And a lot of times my follow-ups were much larger than my initial when I go down the rabbit hole. So anyway, what I look for here is initial post, 2 good responses. I don't want opinions. I want informed opinions, which means include a citation and a reference, so that we can see that it's just not a Facebook post, because that's not where the learning takes place. The learning takes place in doing a little bit of the research and then challenging your peers where appropriate. So that's the discussion. Good?
Mm-hmm. I might
And
have
by the
more
way,
questions
discussions
later,
for the most part, you know, where I really take points is where I don't see any research and I just see high level stuff. I don't judge you whether you're right or wrong. I look at discussions as safe harbors. So if you're, you know, if you're slightly off and don't have the right response, as long as you've done the research and you've put good, you've got good writing skills where you're matching, supporting what you're saying, I'm fine. And so you'll normally get full credit. It's where I get 4 sentences or 2 sentences and no citation or anything. I go, whoa, wait a minute, this doesn't count. I could have sneezed and written more. So there you go. All right, let's move on to, and by the way, if you do look at the rubric, and these, I believe just about everybody has the same basic rubric for discussions. I think my interpretation matches the rubric pretty well. I don't go into, I don't grade discussions by going into the specifics. I take a look overall, and if you've done a good job, you get full credit. All right, let's go to very quickly, and I'll get you all out of here. I apologize for running long, but you get your money's worth with me. Go back, and the assignment, create your plan. And rather than go through all this, I'm going to come down to no, that's not the rubric that I want to see. All right, give me a second. And I'll just take a second. If this isn't up here, I'll put it up here this week, which is the grading rubric. Okay, so first off, know that on your presentations, what I'm looking for first and foremost is that you've been reading the book, Think Like a Rock Star, and you're incorporating content from Think Like a Rock Star into the presentation, making it your own, and then you can cite it inside on a slide if you want, but then also on your reference page. I want to make sure that Think Like a Rock Star is being used. Now, as graduate students, you should be using a minimum of 3, but quite honestly, you know, if I were Harvard, I'd be making you use 10. But I'm not Harvard, so 3 is pretty much the norm, but I really like 5. So, but again, I want quality, not necessarily quantity. So I look for good layout, good document layout. And last week I kind of went through what marketers are looking for in terms of presentations. So don't just give me some letters and some sentences on white slides. That doesn't cut it. Make it look good and use some of the guidelines that I talked about. Take a look at Presentation Zen on the website, on the internet, presentationzen.com or slideology.com by Nancy Duarte. Both have excellent resources and some great ideas for how to present business presentations. As marketers, we're expected to look really, really sharp. Goals. I want to see, and your presentation each week should kind of include an introduction to tell me what you're going to cover, and should always provide a little bit of background on your business. Why? Because even though these piece together and I'm constant, sometimes you're going to have different audiences. And you always want to go back very quickly, very succinctly, and just say, hey, this is the business that we're talking about. So as part of your introduction and what you're going to cover, just a quick review with a couple bullet points as to the brand or the business that you're covering. Then set specific goals for your influencer outreach campaign. So again, if one of my goals is to have influencer outreach campaign with three influencers. That's my goal. How am I going to accomplish that? And what can I put numbers on? So that's the specific goals that you're looking at here. We know you're going to have a brand ambassador campaign. We know you're going to have an influencer campaign as a goal to reach your bigger goals. What are the things that you need to do then in order to make that happen? And that's where Think Like a Rock Star comes in handy. Then, if you've got an influencer selected, explain the detailed channels that you're going to use to communicate with these people. So where are they? Not all your influencers are going to be open to email. Not all your influencers are going to be on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Who at the organization will be in charge of the campaign and why? So you're pretty much writing a little mini job description there. And then ultimately, what story do you want your influencers to share on behalf of your brand? How does it further the goals that you've established back in week one? And what's the pitch that you have that you're going to use to persuade the influencer to come work for you, basically? And then the last piece is what compensation. Now, you're probably saying, but whoa, you said that earned media is based on trust and so forth, not payment. Payment is in the paid media area. The compensation is not enough to get them to say exactly what you want them to say. You're just trying to influence them. So there's all sorts of different compensation. There's barter. There may even have to be some form of cash payment, but it's going to be a heck of a lot less than what you would do for paid advertising or to have a paid celebrity spokesperson. So think about that. And again, there's some great content and Think Like a Rock Star on this. If it's a brand ambassador program, you can read the bullets. I'm not going to go through the bullets. I'll make sure that you all have this because I didn't see it. It looks like it disappeared from my links in the assignment. And then make sure that you've got the references. Obviously, make sure I can read it. So grammar, spelling, and mechanics. And please have it in on time. If you can't, just let me know. I'll work with you. But we're getting towards the end of the month, and I don't want things to snowball because I get really grouchy at the end of the month. I'm much happier at the beginning of the month. And that's it. Okay? Whew. That was a lot. If you got questions, 407-267-8600. If anything else pops up that I feel I need to add, I'll run a additional session either Thursday or Friday, but I think I've covered everything. And if I do run a session on Thursday or Friday, I'll do the video so you can get access to it, but just to give you additional information. But any questions, comments that you've got from what I covered today? I'm wide open.
No, I think I'm good on this end.
I think I'm good.
Raquel, how are you?
I said I think I'm good.
Good. On a fist to five being good, fist, did you get a lot out of today's session?
Yes.
I got a 5 over here.
Oh, awesome, Cassie. Miss Melissa?
5 for sure.
See, I thought she was going to go 3.
Well, I just like get anxiety over the assignments, and I'm like, I need to understand everything and what the expectations are. So that's like my anticipation every time we have a call. Like, we go over great information, but I'm like, I need to understand what they're asking here, you know? So
You're not the only one who feels that way, Melissa. Trust me when I tell you.
The assignments, I feel like I understand 100%. It's the discussion posts that a lot of times I'm like, I'm lost in the context.
Yeah.
Well, and a good discussion post, you'll do that. And So that means if you're lost, you need to do more research.
Yeah, and I feel that way, and I usually do. Once I like can understand the context of what they're actually asking, then I'll start like pulling up websites and searching the language if I'm like have a knowledge gap somewhere, which happens sometimes.
And again, like I said, they're a safe harbor. So if you miss something, I'm going to give information to get everybody back on track. But what I'm interested in is the learning.
Yeah.
And, you know, are you taking a good dive into that material, and doing some research, sharing it and talking? You know, the discussion is designed to mimic a class discussion.
Yeah.
So you're in a classroom and I say, hey, so what channels are your influencers, or what channel are your customers at for your case study brand? And that's organically very much the way the discussion will go. The benefit of this is called asynchronous delivery. So the benefit of asynchronous delivery is, you know, in a classroom, you got a lot of people that they won't raise their hand, and then you have a mean professor that calls on them. But the reason they won't raise their hand is they're not sure, or they like to do more research. So in distance learning, I mean, it's wonderful. You have the time between when you see the question and when you need to answer. And then with the follow-ups, you got lots of time to, you know, I've actually seen people that in their initial post said one thing, and by the time they got done following up with somebody, a couple posts later, they totally changed their position. I love that. So, all right. Well, I'm reachable. Know if you need to reach out, 407-267-8600. And Raquel, I'd love to see you in the degree program so I could have you again for public relations. But either way, I'm glad you're in this class.
Thank you.
So, all right, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll talk whenever.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.